Good day, everyone. We are the Group 4, and today we will discuss Module 4 Creative Crafts of Indigenous People from Northern Philippines, Lesson 1. So, in this video, we will focus on 3 points. Number 1 is Nig or Tinguian. Number 2, Ifugao Handicraft, Wood Carving and Weaving. And number 3, Dumagat Woodcraft and Wood Carving. Now, I will start with Itnig. Itnig or Isnig is a tribe that lives in the mountain of Abra and other highlands of Cordillera. Itnig is derived from Iti-unig, which means the interior, or from the combination of the prefix I, which indicates a place of origin, and Tinig, the name of a major river and geographical area. The Itnig group consists of immigrants from Kalinga, Apayao, and northern Kankanai who choose to live in Abra Valley and the nearby highlands to avoid the advancing Christian Ilocano. Itnig and Tinguian are synonymous as they are identified as mountain dwellers. So now we will proceed to the history of Itnig. From Spanish eyes, the Itnig were the less wild mountain people of northwestern Luzon who inhabited the fringes of their colonial possession in the Ilocos. They were called infieles, or those who did not accept Christianity but were willing to pay tributes and to render free labor called puluay servicio. And on the other hand, Itnig oral accounts sing of the heroism of Sagid, Sayin, and Banao in their fight against the Spaniards, the last sacrificing his own life to enable his people to escape when he delayed the Spanish advance at narrow pass at the Banawang Abra River mouth. The Itnig history, based on a fruitful integration of recorded and oral history, indicates that the Itnig not only resisted Spanish colonial rule, but preserved their culture and traditions. These Itnig's ancestors are believed to have been the Proto-Austronesians who came from South China thousands of years ago. And Tinguian will be discussed by Mr. Justin Alipala.
Tingyan, or often called as the people of the mountains. Actually, there are two types of Tingyan. First is the Valley Tingyan. They are the ones who are living in the lower reaches of Abra province who cultivate wet rice and maintain a concentrated and homogeneous population. The second one is the Mountain Tingyan. They are the ones who live in highlands of Abra who rely on dry cultivation and root crops, and there are much more parts of the population. Some notable crafts of the Tingyan are bamboo split weaving. The Tingyans, also called Isnig or Itnig, are engaged in various crafts, the most important of which is the bamboo crafts production. Shown below are some pictures of bamboo split weaving. Then the second notable craft of the tribe Tingyan is natural dyeing. Normal Agaid, a Tingyan elder and the sister of the father of Philippine natural dyers, Luis Agaid, explained which plants yield what kinds of colors: mahogany for red, jackfruit and ginger for yellow, the malatayom plant for indigo, the nara tree for brown, and among others. So, going back to what Miss Brittany have discussed earlier, to give you a clear understanding why Tingyan and Itnig or Isnig are synonymous, it is because the Tingyan people have always referred to themselves and other residents of the Cordilleras Highlands as Itnig or Isnig, or inhabitants of the interior uplands. Nonetheless, non-Itnig frequently refer to the inhabitants of Abra's remote hinterlands as Itnig, while referring to the province's more assimilated residents as Tingyan, particularly given the latter group's alleged indistinguishability from the lowland Ilocano. Then, further slides will be discussed by my other group mates.
Ifugaos. Ifugaos are known as wet rice agriculturalists occupying the mountainous areas of northern Luzon, Philippines. They are also called as mountain people who has been believed whom hand-carved the Banawe rice terraces. So the artworks of Ifugaos: wood carving, textile weaving, and basket weaving. Wood carving. The tradition of wood carving in Baguio is said to have originated in the Ifugao barrio of Hapao in the town of Hongduan. Many of the Ifugaos would stay in the forest carving woods for days. The Ifugao woodcarvers of Hapao are generally acknowledged to be the best in the Cordillera region. A great variety of carvings from small keychains to life-size statues can be found at the woodcarvers village. The subjects of the carving vary widely but mostly motifs closely associated with the Cordilleras such as bulol or indigenous people and animals. Also common are religious icons, furnitures, household items, keychains, and signs. The carvers also make items to order.
And now we're going to discuss about the textile weaving. So hand weaving textile is one of the most interesting crafts of the Philippines, weighed with immense cultural significance. Little does one know, weaving is a sacred art. It is an elaborate process with many stages which includes in a ritual. At Kiangan, the birthplace of Ifugao, weaving has always been a part of the community's daily activities, may it be for economic purposes, cultural preservation, or personal use. The Ifugaos of Kiangan either practice traditional weaving, which follows old age techniques passed on through generations, or the ikat, where bundles of yarn are tightly wrapped together and dyed as many times to create a desired pattern or design. The weaving process usually starts with buying cotton from HABI, the Philippine Textile Council of the Philippines. The cotton then is twisted and collected into strands to prevent unwanted tangling. The color combination is based on the ones available to the weavers. Most colorants are obtained from the seeds of nature. Collected leaves, trees, mud from the river banks, or plants like mayana, which gives a greenish and yellowish color to the thread. The patterns used mostly traditional ones, typically nature inspired and based. So the Bayawak pattern, for example, is based on an eponymous giant lizard, said to be one of the gods who came down on earth to teach natives water irrigation. On the other hand, the phaeton symbol is placed on the borders of the weaving textiles inspired by a god who came down to Ifugao in the form of snake to guard boundaries. A dividing line in forest or rice fields, for example, is considered sacred among the Ifugaos because land is very precious to them. In addition, the star symbol represents abundance, multitude, and fertility.
And now let's talk about Ifugao waving techniques. First, we have kinolbudan or rain stripes. The basic form of waving among the Ifugaos, strips of different colored threads are arranged on the loop and woven to create patterns. Next is binubudan or sislaying. In this technique, the patterns are constructed during the dyeing process. The designs are paid out in the weaver's mind before the prepared threads are tied and wrapped. The cloth is then dyed and the pattern is revealed once the threads are unwrapped and woven together. Next is nililha or pinili or in English supplementary work. Pre-colored threads are used to incorporate designs and patterns in the fabric as it is woven. In the leftmost photo, the orange threads, vertical one, are erased and put back to create symbols and motifs against the green threads, horizontal web. And lastly is the balut or supplementary weft. This technique is usually used for women's belts and funerary blankets, as shown in the middle photo in our report. Weft threads, horizontal red, are inserted through the wire threads, vertical yellow to create patterns.
Basket weaving. Basket making is gender specific among some groups. For instance, both Ifugao men and women engage in basket making, while among the Kalinga, men do all of the weaving. Baskets are made of bamboo, rattan, or a combination of the two. The most frequently utilized construction technique entails plating, although wickerwork, twinning, or coiling are also employed. Typically, in plating, two elements are woven over and under each other at a right angle. These are some of the examples of the Ifugao basket tree. Next, we have the Dumagat. The Agat and Agtan people of the Philippines as Dumagat also means seafaring people. Dumagat's origin is the same with Aitos in northern Luzon. Their ancestral origin is traced from Negritos, which is one of the earliest inhabitants in the Philippines. They are found in the hillsides and mountains of Quezon, Bulacan, Rizal, and Laguna provinces.
Have here Dumagat woodcraft and wood carving. Dumagat woodcraft and wood carving are traditional crafts practiced by the Dumagat people, an indigenous group living in Philippines. These crafts involves creating intricate designs and patterns on wood using various tools and techniques. Dumagat woodcraft typically involves creating functional objects such as household items, furniture, and tools. The wood is often carved with simple tools such as knives, chisels, and adzes, and the design are usually simple and practical, reflecting the Dumagat people's way of life and their relationship with the environment. As we have mentioned earlier, wood carving is an intricate and artistic form of woodcraft. It involves creating intricate designs, patterns, and figures on wood using specialized tools such as gouges, chisels, and knives. The design can be inspired by nature, mythology, or religion, and are often used for decorative purposes such as sculptures, furniture, and carvings. Dumagat wood carvers often use traditional techniques and motifs in their carvings such as the Balanceros pattern, which resembles the shape of an ancient Filipino coins, and the Anito or spirits motif, which represents the Dumagat people's beliefs in animism and ancestral spirits. These carvings are often used for ceremonial purposes and are considered to be an important part of the Dumagat people's cultural heritage. Here are the sample pictures of wood carving, Dumagat stew, and the woodcraft, or the product of wood carving. And that will be all for the discussion about the creative crafts of indigenous people from northern Philippines. Thank you.